Hey guys, welcome back to The Letter. Last time we found out that Hannah's not as good a girl as she thinks she is. She tries to be, but we need to let Zachary and her stay apart through all of this. They cannot be together. I will not let it happen. But anyways, entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It's dark. For a moment I thought the electric work was not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every room is brighted with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there's a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me, and only spurs me on in my search. Luke is doing like this whole surprise thing, isn't he? And when I do open the lights, there's a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
Luke! There at the end of the hall is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe?
Absinthe? What's that?
You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please.
She's trying to look out for you, you dumbass.
Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons.
Did it really get you that much to deal with those people? Really?
And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you?
You just said it was because of the simpletons handling the painting wrong.
If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done.
Oh?
So, what was it then, What were you doing?
Oh. Now I get it. Who is it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? Ooh. Because if I tell him I was with Zach, he's not gonna be very happy with that. But I think he's gonna know if I lie and say I was tending the gardens. But honesty is the best policy. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna tell the truth.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Ah. God damn it, Luke. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. But as Luke's expression turns, he makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. He has a way of making me laid bare with just a look. That had really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant Negro?
Whoa! Buddy!
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees, wonderful and breathtaking. Now as I look at him, they're nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hana.
No. I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat, the man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he's barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want. And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes. Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the Negro affects the both of us, however.
Look, Luke. Nothing will happen.
Yeah, Zachary's a good guy.
You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Ah.
Maybe you should drink more.
Whoa, Hannah.
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served. Well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters and tranche of turbot, with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There's no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I've faced before. This is a minor setback in which I hope will be a long and happy life. It would have been a long and happy life if you didn't move in here. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. Oh, no, 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 no. The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time, it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't be there. Who is that? Oh, come on, Hannah. Don't do this. Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen. And into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
Think of it, Hannah. Think of it. You and Luke and Johans, I think, are the only ones in here. Who would be a woman crying? Think, woman, please. I am curious and concerned, but there's no way I'm going into a dark and human underground. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it's one of those the household help, they will surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as their staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it's either Johans or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go on about things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as wholly benevolent. So I will... You know what I will do? I will call them out. I will not open that door. I knock 3 times. Waiting for any sort of reply yields me no results, and I've already touched the floor hatch far too many times than what I'd like. I take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever's inside. I've learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily would not help in coaxing them out.
You, in the cellar. Do come out.
Oh,
We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I'm standing, however, I'm starting to think myself a fool. I do not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried one more time.
Now you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me?
Oh no.
Why, Iota?
Oh no. I freeze as a hand clamps down on my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel, unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest. But the touch is gone as quickly as it seized me. It's Johans. Oh, Johans. Thank God it's you. My guy.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. It was only her who heard it. And now I shudder to think what would have happened if I had opened the door. At least I'd like to interpret his concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Or rather, it must have been concern as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead before his worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon. What crying woman? Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Madam Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in disbelief. But when I listen once more, I hear no crying. Tugging at the hatch for good measure proves his words to be too... Sorry about that. Tugging at the hatch for good measure proves his words to be true, too. The thing won't budge unless I had a key, short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam. You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience. But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There's a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me to my feet. What he says makes sense, and who am I to question someone who used to be a doctor? I am just tired, that's it. Long day moving, the interview, dealing with Luke. That's drained me of all my proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Of course I'm right.
Yes, because you're Johans.
Go on then. Gute Nacht.
Good night, Johans. Good night, house.
It's just fatigue. Now hold on just 1 second. I have to confirm something. I have to do it. Now, Johan said that the door was locked. Now, what happens if I hit open the hatch? I may not be going down there, but there's no point in talking through closed doors. Or hatches in this case. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure on that. So yeah, it's true. The door would have been unlocked if I opened it. I'm not dying today, Ghost. It's just fatigue. That's what I keep telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there's something wrong with the house, or there's something wrong with my head. Sleep will be elusive tonight. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide or hair of him to be found. Trying to call him on his mobile is a bust, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today of all days is every bit unsettling because of what's to come. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I'm much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today's going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house, after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright Mansion. Every person of importance from Luxborn is invited, and there will be a few guests flying as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important, regardless of their status in society. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches of the houses before finalizing everything. Not that there's much change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the right mansion.
As opposed to the wrong mansion, but I'm sorry.
There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. I didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. If we absolutely have to, we often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
How often would Luke go riding on a horse, anyway? Just wondering. No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
Yes. Marianne, build me a helipad. No, please don't.
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his requests right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Oh no. He's in the cellar. Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than complain to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, the lot of them, really. Or most of them, at least. There are always good ones like Rochelle Lee. Put your trust in the wrong person, and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems, and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too high-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with the plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow made me unsure whether she's interested or not. Although that does make things better if she has no interest and, therefore, has no hidden intent to utilize whatever I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time, and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband. But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark.
Is it bad that I just realized she's talking about herself? You should always know that when they say, oh, a friend of mine, they're talking about themselves. I didn't.
What do you think?
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...
Do I want her to be honest? Yes. Yes, be honest. Be more honest than anyone else.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it. I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. Silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she'll never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
Yes! It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect a straightforward question. And get to the heart of such a matter? I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Marianne is, though. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We put up the act of a perfect couple for years, although it hasn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. She wears gloves. It's a necessity to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But, if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
Marianne, you are a fountain of wisdom.
So you're saying they should divorce?
No, she's not saying that. That's a little bit too far.
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives. But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships, so grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There's a calm despite the nature of what's just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others may have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where a relationship can bring us. And at the same time, 7 years. Well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever. It's not supposed to, anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements, will turn into all-out resentment. The idea that we'll grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. We can get through this, right? I know that I still do love him, and that I feel there's a part of him that still loves me. We just need to get our heads together and talk it out. Surely he'll see some sense. There is a cough before Marianne clears her throat. I must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure of how to proceed. Some sort of odd, awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party?
Why would you not attend the party?
Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you.
Man, Marianne is starting to become like... I don't know. She's starting to become like her best friend.
You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
Oh, those people are the worst. Then again, I wouldn't know because I don't go to parties. If you couldn't tell. The scene outside of the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we've hired the service of a temp agency which provides staff for the right enterprise in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move around in droves, carrying crockery and silverware good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children, as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. As they should be, because the wine cellar is where death is. To peruse the stocks to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
Even from the other side of the house, you can hear Johann snark. The string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. It's followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier. Just a simple cake. White chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will tend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all this, I only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I wanted to have a small, elegant, and simple gathering, with only a select few invited, namely the people who I'd actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used to I am to them catering. Man, I wish I could speak. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright. And I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman, who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I am still today, but I wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager which wasn't just handed to me, just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start from the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money, and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was a calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor these are weird words. Auditor liaison and public relations, supervision of staff, and... well, I generally had a slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing in that, I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who could give it, however fleeting it was. And Luke. Oh, Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married when we talked about everything and anything. From big things like business, society, and philosophy to little things such as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. Dogs. Not docs. Dogs. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me the husbands preferred wives who were docile and subordinate. A woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. Wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children and to take care of them in his absence. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society. But I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
Thank you, Johans.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him.
Can we just appreciate that the light is shining behind Johans? I mean, look at him. He is a god now.
Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand Tourers, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen, being parked by valets. A handful of cabs dry off, probably those who thought it would be too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxborn. Still so far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome, welcome everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm if not strange sunshine we're experiencing, before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as that young man with his oriental hair, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike. Are you here to investigate the mansion, Ashton Frey?
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Be careful, acting like you're some... Oh, Ash. Okay. Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she's here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I had invited Father Norman, too. It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request. Aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like the Chief Inspector. People I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
Yes, and it's not a spot that's going to be filled by you.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke?
Just deflect the question. Men do not gossip. But by the way, did you hear? Well, I hit my auto.
Person's report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body.
I wouldn't tell you if that was the case.
I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Who cares about being polite? Also, I just realized, why were Ash, Becca, and Zach here? Well, Zach's here for, like, the party or whatever. But where's Rebecca? Oh, Isabella, I mean.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead.
Oh, do you, though?
The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Have I mentioned how I don't trust him no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
I feel like he could be a good guy, but he's really just... Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly until I'm pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they are not here anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more than to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which have been brought up to her to hire authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Oh, sorry, There's that rose-haired woman once again. It's hard not to notice her with her distinctive looks. Locks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she extend are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach, intrigued, although it's no great mystery what occupies her attention, what with the glances she keeps sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I'm there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do nothing but speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it's a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other.
Indeed.
Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I have never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
Oh, we all know you have.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter, currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
Well, you know, that'll happen sooner rather than later, so you might want to get used to it. I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It's chilling, and although I'm used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Oh my god! My attention is pulled from the girl and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call security at her when her mouth breaks into a grin. All I hear is her laughing. Taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I'm nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. It makes my hands shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then in a blink she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but... Are you alright?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor, who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, although I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Little Becky.
But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Ash!
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky goes. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I've triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
Indeed he is, but that coat is ridiculous.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone with an earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky.
Yeah, that's what friendships are made of.
Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta.
Sort of.
I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right?
Yep, and this means that Becky's now going to challenge Isabella to a boxing match.
You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
Not much. There's a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
17, actually.
Close enough.
But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I?
Indeed.
Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans.
Indeed.
It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
Yep. She has that effect on people. I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse with petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It feels ridiculous remembering all those years later. Talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls, as if it's some gossip every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though, looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart. But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There's no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music strings and the chatter slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. Is it Luke? The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago, and anyone else that's late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. Unless... So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. There's only one man who's audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party?
Hi, Luke. How you doing?
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to his presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly and under scrutiny when he channels his own showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks. How they listen enraptured, even if all he's doing is some simple greeting. A little wave of his hands here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that, if he's not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love this side of him, especially when he looks at me, and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side and make my way to Luke's.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There's a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It's because of this that I don't see her. I do not see her until she's dangerously close, with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Johans restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an empty glass of wine in her hand. How much is she embittered in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here!
You're pregnant and you drink wine, you idiot! You don't have any right to call anyone else a munter.
You bloody bastard, standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol on her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little displays of hers, at least not yet. But I'm absolutely pissed at the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. There's a considerable amount of restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if not smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle!
Whoa.
Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask that exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass!
What?
You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me. What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Luke, what have you been doing?
Crazy talk! That's all it is! Just completely and utterly mad!
Luke, what have you been doing?
Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard! You promised me you'll take responsibility.
Luke? What the fuck?
God damn it, Luke! I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me!
What? What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby?
Yes, she does. She's so excited for it. She's been trying to convince this dumbass to do it this whole time. But no.
Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
She can do better than you. It's now that Johans returns with security alongside a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he's heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man.
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Yeah, that's right. There's no way that Rochelle says what the truth is. What she says doesn't match up. I know Luke. If such a scandalous meeting are to be arranged, he won't do it in such an exposed place, especially not here's precious flowers. And he definitely won't promise responsibility over a child unless it can be helped. Besides, Luke would never. He'd never go far as to sleep with another woman, right? Okay, fine, who am I kidding? If I'm to be completely honest with myself, he might cheat. With a bit of temptation and a bit of alcohol, he just might. And doesn't that just make my blood boil? To think even the slightest possibility of infidelity? Lee isn't too far off what he told Luke how Luke still acted like some young hotshot bachelor. It starts to make me think... Now this is basically me choosing between Rebecca and Marianne. Either work for the happy ending, or maybe take a break from everything. I think taking a break would be best. Because right now, I'm not so sure of how I can... You know what? I'm gonna work for my happy ending. Becky's words are still fresh in my mind. And I can't help but think that the girl, plucky woman that she is, has a point. If I love Luke, I'll have to fight for him, don't I? So far, I've been doing nothing but sitting on my behind, hoping it'll fix itself. This whole mess definitely isn't going to fix itself. How dare that woman try to drag her name in a relationship through the mud with her lies. At my own party. Determination fires me up as I take a step forward in the middle of the fray. All the while, she's been screaming. Hold on a second. Oh, Luke respects me now. I signal for security to stop, and I can already feel the glower on my face as I stare into hers. She wilts as soon as she sees me. She starts to grow anxious and her protests die down. I can see her as her haughty, angry expression turns into a horrified expression, or horrified realization. Rightfully so. She should be scared. What is this thing they say again? Never wake a sleeping dragon? They often think that Luke is the one in charge, that he's the one to be feared and appeased. They think of me as only the pretty wife. They forget that I am just as capable, just as worthy as respect.
I invite you, my friend, into my house on a day of merriment. And you insult my name and accuse my husband of infidelity. What have I ever done to make you treat us with such disrespect? You are no longer welcome in any of our estates, our properties, and our businesses. And we will no longer patronize yours. Now, escort the girl and make sure she isn't standing even an inch within our grounds.
She looks devastated. Reasonable. This does make her into a pariah, doesn't it? I should feel concerned, but I can't even find an inkling of mercy within me. I don't know what her plan was. I don't know what she wanted to make out of this. The money? Luke? It doesn't matter what she wanted.
You won't show your face to me ever again if you know what is good for you, Rochelle. Take her away.
The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces the room is so set that one could practically hear a pin drop. There are worried and almost fearful glances from some of the guests, but they all know this is well within my right. She is the one who started this whole dilemma. It just so happens that I'm the one ending it. So as long as everyone holds their tongue and doesn't interfere, none of the consequences matter to me. Especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. It almost seems as if he's proud of what I've done, and that spurs me on more than anything. Nonetheless, I still act upset because this does not change what happened. He still has a lot to answer to. Because even if the woman is lying, there's always an inkling of truth in every lie. At least she's not, delusional enough to think that she was completely lying. There's a reason she did this. So when I turn on him, to say that the shock he displays brings me gratification is an understatement. Of course, there is no reason to make a husband and wife spat into a public spectacle. Some privacy will generate the least number of headaches and complications. Everyone is still far too busy in the ballroom, and most of the staff are still in the kitchen. A sharp glance at anyone who will go through the doors is all it takes to make them retreat. And the most private we can get without me dragging Luke all the way to our bedroom is the foyer.
And we are going to talk about this, Lucille Mitchell-Wright.
Lucille?
Not now, but we will talk about this.
Right! I swear that is not my child, no matter what that woman says. Hannah, darling, you believe me, don't you?
I believe that it isn't your child. But you never said that you did not cheat on me with her. We'll have a talk about that tomorrow, among other things.
What for? What other things?
About us, Luke. This isn't right, this doubting each other and not talking. That's why we'll talk. If anyone needs me, I'll be in our room. I'm in no mood to be talking with anyone about anything, especially nosy baggers who have no business with any of it.
Should I be worried? Scared?
Yes.
Because you know threats do not work with me, Hannah.
None of those. You should know I'm not your enemy, Luke. I need rest. That's all.
Of course, you must be so tired. You've earned some peace. I'll take over the party from here.
About time, because it's your damn party.
Good night, love.
Good night, Buttercup.
Sometimes I forget that leaving Luke to handle the party is a horrible idea. Because, come morning, the dining hall is a mess with a few of his drunk friends sleeping about. Of course. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna end it for now, because fuck, that was crazy. So next time we're gonna figure out where to go from here with Luke and Hannah, and whether or not this is gonna end with them dying. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. You have a good day. Goodbye.